everyone, I'm Sarah. I live in southern New Hampshire. We hike quite a bit in the Whites. We have also done a lot of hiking in the Green Mountains in Vermont, doing the Long Trail 2 summers ago. And my background in hiking comes from growing up in New York, so I've hiked quite a bit in the Shawangunk, the Catskills, and the Adirondacks. Currently, we've been working on our 4,000 footers in New Hampshire, so I've been trying to get up there as much as possible. Really why I wanted to make this video though is because I do all of my hiking with 1 or 4 of my dogs, depending on where we're going, what I'm doing, and what sort of difficulty level there is. I have dogs aging from 2 years old to a 13-year-old dog who unfortunately is not as capable as getting up some of the big pitches like he used to, but I try to make it so that he can come on some trips with us. Really what I wanted to do this video for is because I have changed so much about how I hike, the gear I carry, where I hike, what I hike, etc. based on my dogs. I really only enjoy being out there with them. It's really important for me to have them and be out there with them. It's part of why I love being out there. But when you do research on dog hiking gear and backpacking with dogs, which really is my ultimate goal, is to do some long distance trips. The Long Trail was a nice taste of that. I do have some goals to do some of the Triple Crowns in the future. Right now work doesn't really allow it. And then also we're going out to do the Colorado Trail next summer, so that'll be 570 some odd miles. So that's a pretty good chunk of change mileage, and we're planning on taking 2 of our dogs with us to do that. So I've been really trying to dial in what gear works. But the thing is, all the information you find out there and gear is all for large dogs and that medium dog and that cattle dog type of dog where you have a little more room to play with. My dogs are not that big. They're small. They're Jack Russells. My heaviest Jack Russell is my older dog, and he weighs 18 pounds, and he's currently desperately trying to get the ball out from underneath the couch right now. So they're only really capable of carrying so much weight because of their small body size. They are also super active. Like any hiking dog, they're burning a ton of calories, but the Jack Russells, due to their small body size, tend to burn tons and tons of calories. So feeding them appropriately has also been a challenge, and getting them to eat things that they like and things that are not hard to manage, and then things that they can carry, so that I'm not carrying all of their weight. So when you have 4 of them or 3 of them or 2 of them, that tends to be a whole lot extra weight on your back. So I wanted to do some information about what I found works best with my small dogs, and it's still a work in progress, I will tell you that. So one of the things that has been most changing for me, life-changing for us, is finding a dog pack that is the appropriate, come here Clancy, you're okay. Finding a dog pack that is appropriate for a small dog. A lot of the commercial bags tend to be really bulky. They're too long on their bodies. There's too much pocket space, and when you start adding all of that space that you're really not able to use because they're so small, you're adding pounds to their pack that they only have a small amount that they can carry in the first place. My dogs carry about a third of their body weight. So I don't do much more than 5 pounds, 3 to 5, like maybe one heavy day when we first get out, and then obviously we weed down as we eat our dog food. So I found this company based out of Maryland called Groundbird Gear. Her website is groundbirdgear.com, and she makes packs that are customized to your dog's frame. So what she does is you send her measurements, and she builds this harness component and then puts an appropriate pack size on it for the dogs. They're made of Cordura. You can choose your own colors, which is super fun. My first 2, this is my 3rd pack, if that gives you any information about how much I really love this gear. All 3 of my dogs have them, and my old dog has just the harness component for safety. He doesn't really carry much weight anymore. I ordered my first 2 in dark green because I love dark green. One has the trapezoid is pink and one is blue, so I know whose is whose. I went with a brighter color for bears, which I really like because it's really visible in the woods. So I do like the brighter color a little bit better. But they are really great. They have roll top closure for the saddlebag part of it. They come with a handle here, which is great for the small dogs because you can lift them. I put my bear bell on. That way when they're on the trail, they're not coming up behind anyone scaring the dickens out of people, which they have done. And then I also have on the harness, there's a D-ring here for a leash, which is great. I have a name tag with a phone number. When I'm hiking, my dogs don't have their regular collars on because they have their harnesses on, so it ends up being like around the neck with the collar and the yoke from the harness, too much stuff. So I put their collars in the pack, and then when we're in camp, I put their collars on and take the whole pack unit off. So the pack comes off of the harness, which I also really like in case you needed to give them a break or in an emergency. You can take this off and just have the harness component. There's lots of adjustability with the harness, which I really like. There are alligator clips on this side, alligator clips on this side, which are adjustable. I don't know if she does this for all of them, but I do a slider here on the yoke, just because my dogs tend to get really lean and muscled up, so they get lean in their bellies and they're like down their bodies, but their shoulders get sort of bulky and big. So this gives me some adjustability there so they're not rubbing. They're padded on the base. I cold water wash them. They wash really great. This is one of my newer ones. This is Bear's, so he's only used it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. So anyway, it's my go-to. I mean, I walk them in this in town too. It's not, I don't just use it to hike. So it's a really great harness. And it's got her cool logo on the, I don't know if you can see that with the lighting, sorry. Her cool logo on the yoke, which I really like. So that's that component. In the bags, I try to pack them so that they're equal weight. Obviously, you wouldn't want something lopsided on your back. It comes with the sort of like your backpack has, so you could strap stuff to the top. I don't strap stuff to the top of my dogs just because they are little and they tend to be in the brush a little bit, and I think things would get torn off. I've been messing around with foods to use. Like I said, it's been a long journey to try to get the right food. I went from kibble, which is very heavy for them. I went to some dried powdered stuff like Honest Kitchen, which my dogs didn't really eat. They eat it here at home mixed in with their kibble, but out in the trail, I think it's just too gooey and gluey. And honestly, mixing the powder gets everywhere. It makes a giant mess. You have to mix it with something, and then I'm always worried about leaving a stick with dog food on it and leave no trace, and it's just a lot. And and my dogs didn't really eat it that great. So I didn't really like the Honest Kitchen. So what I ended up going to, and I'll talk about this a little more, is I went to Stella and Chewy's, the meal patties, and I'll show them. I have them in here. So there's 2 types. These are like the full-size ones, which is what I have. And I thought I had some more puppy ones, but I don't. And I really like these even better because they're smaller and because they're made for puppy. They have more fat in them, and so they are great while on trail. I would not feed puppy food normally to my dogs at home, but on trail, when they're using all those calories and they need all that fat, the puppy works really great. And they're just these smaller, they're like $half size roundness patties, and they just fit really well into the packs, and I'll show you that in a minute. So roll top closures, which are pretty great with Velcro. This side has dog bowl, and then this side I put the kibble in because I wanted to show how neatly it folds into a quart bag, and I have lots of room. I mean, I could have loaded this way up. And it fits very neatly in the pack. This is the extra, I think extra small saddlebag pack for the dog. She makes a wide variety of sizes, but this is the smallest that they come. And given if you were to have a small breed, a Jack Russell, a Dachshund, any sort of small mixed breed, she would appropriately, you could talk to her about which size was appropriate for your dog based on the measurements that you give. So in any case, this is Stella and Chewy's freeze-dried kibble. So it's kibble with the freeze-dried stuff sort of attached to it. I said I have a hard time. My dogs don't always want to eat out on trail, and they need to because they get really, really lean. So I'm gonna start trying to bring a little bit of this kibble with the patties as well for shorter trips. I think for longer trips we'll stick to patties because they're so light. So that's the kibble, and that's how it sort of fits in the bag, and it's really great. On this side, and I'll get to this in a minute. This side we have some different things. Food-wise, we'll stick with food. I generally carry some tuna, or this is salmon, packets for the dogs. I try to do them in olive oil so they get even more fat. They really like this. I tend to, if I have multiple dogs with me, I'll open one package and split it, and then the next, from breakfast, I'll go to the other dog's pack and pull one out so that I'm evenly dispersing the reduction in weight, so I don't feel like somebody's got a heavier pack. It's a little hard to do when you're juggling that with multiple dogs. I'm like, which pack did I take from? And that can be cumbersome, and then eventually after a couple days I probably generally give up on that, but I do try to keep the weight even, which I think is important. So any case, I can split this for a meal pretty easily. It rinses out easily, it folds up small, and I put it in my own trash to pack it out. So that's really great. There's 70 calories per serving for, you know, human calories, but it also helps them eat the dog food when they don't want to really, they're kind of picky and not eating it. So this has been really helpful. So I sometimes do whatever's on sale, I do, and obviously not flavored, but I do try to do them in oil, so that they have that extra fat too. So that's that. In a second. So this is the larger patties, and you see how they just sort of roll up. Depending on the size of your quart bag, or sandwich bag, I guess I should say, you can get multiple layers in, and they fit really well, sort of stacked in here, and then the tuna can fit really well, like sort of jammed in as well. The smaller ones are about half the size of these, and I can get multiple rows up of them, and they work really well too, because I will use these as snacks. Like at lunchtime, I'll give everybody one or two just to for the extra calories. I mean, if I'm eating, they need to be eating as well. So these are just really great. Sometimes the bags get really beat up and they just don't seal as well anymore. They get little tiny micro tears in them, and they can get, my dogs like to go swimming or in water and mud all the time. So I have been researching, looking for some Cuban fiber, super light material, set of liners almost, because I thought that might be really helpful to keep everything a little fresher and drier, but I haven't found just the right ones yet, and then I'll get into that in a minute, because I did find a company that does really cool stuff like that. So dog food. So also in this compartment I have dog booties. These are the Hertas. I think they're an Icelandic company. I got them just at my regular like dog supply. It's Hurtta, Herta, and they make a lot of really cool active dog gear. Some of it isn't really backpacking appropriate because it's heavier. These are great. They stay on really well. I've been carrying, but I'm going to carry full 4 sets for each dog, but I've been carrying just the 2 for the fronts for my guys. I was just did a presidential traverse with Annie in a single day, and I was diligent about checking her feet because there's so much rough, abrasive rock on that trail. The presidentials are in northern New Hampshire. Most of it's on the Appalachian Trail, and then you sort of take some side trips to hit some of the other larger presidential mountains. So I checked her feet every hour, and it wasn't particularly hot, but it's just really rough, rugged rock that you do a lot of scrambling up for a lot of the mountains. So Annie ended up having these after Mount Washington and wore them the whole way home until we got down back into tree line. So they were really helpful. She was not thrilled. It's the first time she's hiked in them. I added a little bit of, I duct taped around just to keep the Velcro from getting moist and then kind of coming off. With the small dogs, I don't know if large dogs have the same problem, but these kind of want to fall off. And I didn't want to lose them being out there. So they're great. They have little rubber that are kind of tacky, which is great on the rocks. Annie, I think, realized that I think her feet were getting a little sore. She didn't have any open areas, but I think they were sore. And when she realized they didn't hurt, she was happy as a clam in these and wore them all the way down until they got muddy. And then I took them off because I didn't want her feet being wet and sort of trapped in these, because I don't think they breathe particularly well. So that's these. I'm going to get more packs. They come in packs of 2 so that you can buy smaller for the front and larger for the back if you need, or however your dog's conformed. So yeah, those are great, and I'll be buying more of those. So down to some ultralight gear, which I've been really excited about. These bowls I found through the Groundbird Gear site, and they're made by a company called Bin Campin' Gear. You can get them on her site as well, but also on Etsy. It's Bin Campin' is his like handle on Etsy, and this is a brand new one, so it's I wanted to show it because you can really see it. My other ones are all sort of wadded up and kind of look like dirty tissue now, but they work really well. So they're Cuban fiber Dyneema. They're taped, so you can put water in them. They're waterproof, and they weigh, I wrote it down, 9 grams, which I think is pretty impressive. They have been a game changer for reducing weight in the pack. I used to go with something like this, which is a rough wear, taped, seamed, dog water bowl that you buy, and I love this one too. It's really great. Other ones I've had in the past leak. This one has not leaked either. So shorter trips, I'll take this, and these I'll save for when we're going, on longer trips. I do food and water in these because they rinse out really easily after they eat it, so then I can leave water down, and then I have multiple waters for multiple dogs depending on how I have them sort of staked out in camp. So these are fantastic. This is one, like I said, by Roughwear. I think you can get it, anywhere. Petco on their website's pretty great. And I do really like this one too. This is the first one that I've had in a long time that I've really liked. It doesn't leak, and the seams are taped. So this one's been a really great one too. And sometimes for shorter trips, I will take this because these stay in the packs. These I'll put with all my water stuff sort of on the exterior of my pack, like where my filter is and stuff, my Sawyer filter. And that way when I'm sitting down for lunch, I can give them some water, and it's right here. So also really useful to have sort of the two options, but these for food bowls have been really great. I've done a lot of the like plastic collapsible stuff, and what happens after a while is that the rings come off and they start losing like height. The top ring on those like collapsible cup ones that Sea to Summit makes, I was using those for a while. A, they're heavy, and B, the ring just eventually came off, the plastic broke on it, and then they just don't work as well. So I really like these. I've been really happy with them. I've used them on a bunch of trips so far. So that's it for inside their pack. I used to make them carry their own vet supplies. I don't do that anymore because I just think it's better if it's in my pack and with my first aid stuff. That way I just know I'm not pulling dog food. It's not getting tossed out until I need it. So I only go for it when I need it. So in their first aid kit, like I said, I keep it with my own. I have my own stuff, so Vaseline and blister protection, and my own anti-inflammatory medications, ibuprofen, Tylenol, that kind of stuff. So for them, I carry a bottle of pain management medications. I have in here, my one dog has a prescription for gabapentin. I do not use it regularly as it can make them a little sleepy, but if they were to get seriously injured, it would be helpful out there. It's something that you need to get for your vet, as is it's carbofen or it is Rimadyl, sorry. It's an NSAID for dogs. It's an anti-inflammatory. Again, you have to get it from your vet. But it is something that I really like to have on hand in case of aches and pains or they get seriously injured. But again, that's something you need to really speak to your vet about. I'm an emergency room nurse, so I do a lot of my own vet work stuff. I grew up with a lot of animals. My father was a vet tech for 30 some odd years, so I have a lot of experience taking care of animals. And also I have my medical background, so I know how to research and medicate properly, and I don't do anything without, of course, talking to the doc first, just like I would at work. So important to have pain management for them too, especially if you have an older dog like my dog Clancy. He really, at the end of a long day, he likes a Rimadyl. He sleeps really well, and then he wakes up the next day. I give him another dose, and he's like a different dog. So it's been life-changing for him, and it's allowed him to continue to hike with us when if I didn't have these meds, I wouldn't be able to do it with him. So really good stuff. The other thing I carry in my backpack, I have Benadryl, just in case of an allergic reaction or bee sting or anything like that. Again, talking to your vet about what's appropriate dosing and when is appropriate to give those medications is really important. I have an irrational fear of snakes. I don't carry an anti-venom kit. I've had to talk myself down off that ledge. I worry about the small dogs. If they were to ever get bit by a poisonous snake, they wouldn't have a lot of reserve because they're so small. So that is something I'm very fearful of when I do the Appalachian Trail. Probably not this summer, but the next summer. I worry about that quite a bit. So I'll be talking to my vet about what's appropriate to carry in case of an emergency in that respect. So future plans. So medication, important. I also carry hemostats or porcupine quill removers. I've had some pretty significant porcupine issues, so they're also good for getting ticks out and a variety of other things. But I have these. I love them. They're great. You can probably buy a set from your vet. You can probably buy a set from Chewy's online. I think you can. I don't think you need to have any sort of vet license to buy them, but if you can't find them, your vet can probably get them for you. And they're just great in case we have a lot of porcupines up here in New Hampshire, and I've had some, like I said, significant porcupine, like at the vet for 5 hours pulling quills out kind of experiences. So I carry hemostats just in case it does make it easier to get them out. The other thing I carry for myself and for the dogs is Coflex, Coband, Vet Wrap, whatever you want to call it. Comes in lots of fun colors. I use it on my own ankles. You can use it for paw injuries, foot injuries, blister protection. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. It works really good on your hiking poles. If you have blisters on your hands, you can put some extra padding on the poles. I like it because it can put some compression on things. It's stretchy. It's super light. I don't take the plastic when I go. It comes in a wide variety of thicknesses. This is a big one because I use it on my own ankles if I get injured, but you can tear it, thinner strips off of it very easily to use on your dog if you need it smaller. So really important and great thing to have in a kit. It takes up a little bit of room, which is kind of annoying, but it's definitely worth it if you need it. So other really things that I've been working with. Leashing has been a challenge when you have a bunch of dogs. They get tangled. My dogs, I know, bad or good, my dogs go off leash, and because in some places it can be really dangerous when you're hiking up rock scrambles and you're trying to manage a leash. And my dogs are really catty and small and are able to get up in a much safer manner. They stay on trail. They have really effective recall at this point. I've done a lot of work with them using treats and training collar, which comes to my next component that I use. You know, Jack Russells are hunting dogs. They tend to have instincts that tell them to chase things. So we've worked really hard at sort of breaking them of that habit and trying to stop and listen to what we're saying before they go to chase even just the chipmunks. So we've been using a sport collar. This is a Sport Dog. This is the matching collar. These ones are really great. This is the 4XS. They're really low profile, so they work well on the small dogs. The collars you can trim these all the way down, so you can make them as smaller as long as you need. They're rubber. They don't rub their necks. You have to be careful. You don't want to do the prongs too tight because that can rub, obviously. But I really only use the tone now on these. I rarely ever have to do the static electricity to get them to come back. If I just tone them and give the command, it's a reminder. If they don't come right away, I tone them again. And then if they don't come on the third time, that is when they get the static. And I use the first level. This thing has 7 levels. I don't even know. I use the first level and it's a game changer. My dogs tend to be more reactive on leash too, so this is really helpful, and has been really great in keeping them at my side and not being reactive to other dogs due to the leash, due to being on the leash. And it's just, I think it's been a whole lot safer because I'm not trying to manage all their leashes, getting tangled up on uneven footing. The collars just, they come, they sit, I give them treats, and it's been really great. Say what you will about leashing. We generally tend to leash where we're supposed to leash, like if we're in really busy areas, alpine environments. Sometimes I leash, sometimes I don't, but they generally stay with me right on trail. They're not off trail. So, if we start getting a little roamy, I put them on the leash or correct with the collar, and then they stay with me and are much better. So we're working on that. It's a work in progress. So those have been really great, and like I said, a game changer. Like I said, Jack Russells can be really reactive. They can be aggressive. They can be territorial. So those have been, having the collar has been a much safer experience for them out there, and for me training wise, and I'm not always good with training. The collar, I can wrap my brain around how to correct them in a way in which they understand, and give them commands in a way in which they understand. So it's been helpful in training. So leash wise, I used to just have regular, nylon leashes, whatever. These come from the same person that did the bowls, Ben Campin. You can get them on his Etsy page. They are also made by the Dyneema. It's the same material that my hammock straps are made out of. It's super light. Comes with this super light beaner, and then has a silky, super light handle. So I like this leash because it is very, very light. I have 3 of them for the dogs. I'm working on getting, now that Clancy has his harness, I need to get a 4th one. Things I don't like about it. For me, is way too long. Super, super long. So I think what I'm going to do is put a loop in it so that I can shorten and lengthen it as needed. And this material is really silky, and it's thin, so it's because it's light. It tends to like get knotted and tangled up with either the other leash or in itself. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, but the lightness of it and the way that it literally packs down to a handful, I really like quite a bit, and it can go in my pocket. It fits in my hip belt. It's really great. I just wish it was a smidge shorter, I think. These are $28.99 on Ben Campin, so they're a little pricey, but it's definitely worth it. I wanted to give the price for the bowls too. Those bowls, which are the plain fabric bowls, I believe were $14.99. He has some really fun printed ones too, and I think they're a little bit more money, but I got the plain ones on Boring. They're also, I think, a little bit lighter when they're plain. So leashing, working on this, I think I'll just have to do my own modifications to it, and I think it'll work just fine. I have used it quite a bit, and I do, like I said, I really like it. Other things I've been doing is my dogs, when we get to camp, sometimes, depending on which dog it is, they'll lay down and they don't move. They get in my hammock or into the tent, whatever I'm hammocking or tenting, and lay down and are good. Or you would think after doing 18, 19 miles that they would be tired, and they are not tired. It's amazing to me, but they're not. So they tend to wander, and when there's other people around, I don't want them wandering about, bugging other campers. They are beggars. Annie's trail name on the long trail was Crumb Catcher. She really gives the homeless, underfed dog eyes to everybody, and it works pretty well. She does get fed. So I have been working really hard on a way to keep them sort of contained without them getting tangled, and all of that makes me crazy. So I always have I take a safety line with me often when I hike, just a little paracord. And what I have done, and this has worked really well at car camping as well, is I string it up, and then I clip it on I string it up between 2 trees, and then I clip the leash on to it, like almost like a dog run would be, like in a backyard. And sometimes I can do multiple lines so that each dog sort of has its own little run. And then sometimes I just throw them all in one run, and they get super tangled and stuff, but whatever. They're contained, they're safe, and they're not wrapped around trees, at least. And it just gives me an ability to contain them without having to leash up and tie to tree. It just works really well. Also works great as a laundry line. So that's been, again, a little bit of a work in progress. I'd really like to, I think, get some of this material to have, so I can string that up, because this is heavier, and be able to put the leashes then on that, but that's in the future. So that's my dog kit. The only other thing that I carry, really because of the dogs, is the Thermarest Z-Lite. This is the full human size one. You can get the seat pads. Those work really well. I know a lot of people use those for dog sleeping pads. I like the big one because A, I can use it as a seat pad. B, the dogs can use it. Multiple dogs can lay on it at once. D, am I on D? I think I'm on D. I can use it when I tent camp because I am a really fussy sleeper, which is why I like the hammock. So it just has a lot of uses. It's external on my pack. I have it underneath my pack. I take it out when we take little schnoozes. I take it out when we sit for lunch. It makes so that the dogs have somewhere to be and lay when I'm getting camp broken down. It's one of the last things I can put down onto my pack. So it's a really great piece, and it's super light. It is bulky, but it just goes in the external on my pack. They're not expensive. I think they're like $30 at REI. They have the 2 different sides for reflective, I guess is what this is supposed to do. I don't know. I don't really see a difference. But I think that these are a really great piece to have. But the small seat pads can do well for your dog as well. But this is just useful for you and the dog. So that's pretty much what I have. This is the first video I've ever done. I've been wanting to do it for a really long time. I think Small But Mighty out there is a really cool group to be in. My dogs are all laying in front of the fan right now, sound asleep. I don't even have a dog in my dog gear video, which is, I do have dogs, I swear. Who's here? Come here and say hello. Here's Bear. Come here. I know, got all excited. This is Bear. So this gives you an idea how small he is. He's a little guy, and he only weighs like 15 pounds. You know, his waist, he's a really little, like this is, my hands are spanned around his whole torso. My thumbs are meeting on his back, and these are my fingers on his chest. So he's just a little guy. He got very excited because he knew I was grabbing his pack. Anyway, that's all I have. I'm going to post this on YouTube. You can post some videos, some questions if you want. I've never done this before, like I said, so I'm going to see how it goes. I'll put the links in the comments for the pack and for the bowl and the leash. And happy trails out there and happy tails. Thanks. Bye.